Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. And on today's call, we have Brianna Socci, and she has a very unique company. It's called Uberdoc, and it's like it's like going to a nightclub and trying to get in and bypassing the wait line, but it's with doctors. And she has a really amazing business model here. And I'm really looking forward to finding out all the intricacies of what she's doing. Welcome to the show, Brianna.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. How did you get into doing this?
So I founded Uberdoc with a physician. So I come from the business and marketing world, and she has the healthcare domain expertise. But we saw firsthand how difficult it is for patients to access the care they need. So we wanted to develop a simple solution that involved the only two stakeholders that matter in healthcare, and that's the doctor and the patient.
So you were saying that in order would take like 26 days to get in touch with a doctor?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the average wait time for a doctor's office is about, or I'm sorry, doctor's appointment is about 26 days in the US.
And you're able to bypass that?
Yep. So at Uberdoc, we're transforming the way that patients access healthcare, and we do this through direct, immediate access to top doctors for a flat, transparent fee. So our platform bypasses the complexities of insurance and long wait times, and it connects patients with specialists in as little as 24 hours.
What's your average wait time?
About 12 hours is the quickest you can get in with
No,
the Uberdoc platform.
well, the average wait time, not as the fastest you can get in.
The average is about 24 to 48 hours. So most of our consumers access within
A day or two.
yeah, exactly.
Wow, are you kidding me? So so I'm just sitting here going, this is nuts. I mean, so to go through the insurance company, you're looking at 26 days to get
Yep.
in because of why?
Yep. So there's so many steps that a doctor's office needs to go through just to guarantee that they're going to get paid for that appointment. Yes, doctors are super busy, but they're with insurance complexities, there's a lot of steps that, the front end needs to call, get the prior auth, get the referral, right? And that's why when you call a doctor's office, they say, well, your first appointment, our next availability is in 4 weeks, right? Whereas with our platform, because everything is cash and it's outside insurance, our doctors are incentivized to set aside a couple of priority appointment slots for someone who just wants to skip the line and go directly because you're paying them, immediately, for that appointment. So they don't have to call your insurance to get that prior off for it.
And deal with all the paperwork.
Exactly, right. It completely removes the administrative burden for our physicians.
Wow. Oh, we make things way the heck too complex, man.
No, we definitely do. Yeah, we're trying to just democratize access to care, take it back to an older, simpler model of how healthcare should be.
Yep, and focus on healthcare other than sick care the way it's been designed now. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
wait,
doctors spend a lot. Yes, doctors spend a lot of time, so many hours. Most of their time actually each day is spent just towards, administrative tasks, right? Documenting and taking notes and things like that. They're spending less and less time on just actual healthcare.
right, with all the associations and all the rules and regulations and blah 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 blah. Insurance.
Yeah,
Cover your
absolutely.
CYA, CYA, CYA.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing, that we're trying to, our mission with UberDoc is all about transparency as well, right? Like, for instance, if I asked you, hey, like, how much does it cost to get an x-ray, right? Or to get your blood taken? I don't know, right? It just depends on whatever my insurance pays for that. And that doesn't really make sense, right? Imagine like walking into a coffee shop and getting, asking for a latte. And when you ask how much it is, they say, well, it depends on how you're going to pay.
Uh,
That just doesn't seem fair, right? So, about 50% of US Americans actually don't get healthcare because they're afraid of what it's going to cost them. So with Uberdoc, it's really important that our patients always know what the price of that care is up front.
Gotcha. Pay for insurance, and then the person's afraid to use it because they're going to have to come up with so much money out of pocket. So
Absolutely.
I think I'd rather die than pay.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of
Almost.
people are choosing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for real, yeah. Well, if I'm gonna have to, if I would go get this thing fixed, I'm gonna owe be enslaved for the next 10 years paying this off.
Yep.
Well, may as well just check out now.
Yep. And that's a reality
Wow.
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Wild. Wild. I mean, the healthcare industry changed so much since I was a kid. It was back when I was a kid, it was you go to a doctor and like maybe a young doctor come to town and go, you know what, I don't really know what to do with it, but there's an older guy that's been practicing medicine here for 40 years. Go talk to him.
Yep. No, and unfortunately, it can't work that way anymore because now you have these network restrictions, right?
Right,
So you have to see, your local doctor might not be in network with your insurance, right?
right,
So you're driving. Like for me, I'm in the Boston area, right? So lots of times, I'll get referred into Boston, and it's like, well, it takes me an hour and a half to get there, during rush hour. Why can't I just see the orthopedic down the street? Oh, they're not in network,
right.
and that just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah. Hmm. Yep. And the medicine's coming from the top down rather than from the bottom up, from people who are actually in the trenches working with it.
Right.
Yeah. So you seem to have a lot of passion around this, which
Yeah.
is the key to success in business, by the way. So where does your passion come from?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been super entrepreneurial, right? Ever since, I was a kid, I was coming up with different businesses. I loved being my own boss, and I loved coming up with new solutions. I think, I wasn't when I started Uberdoc, I wasn't specifically looking to get into healthcare. I was just looking to fill gaps, right, and
Hmm.
come up with a service that I think a lot of people needed. And then over time, as I learned more about healthcare and just how the system is just super broken,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't work for most people. And it's one of those things where I think we all know it, but nothing's really changing, right? And because we don't have any other options, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like, well, I have to use my insurance because I have to have insurance. It's illegal not to have insurance, and the price is what it is. I don't have any other options. So the goal behind Uberdoc was just to provide another option, right? It's kind of like the cash lane at the supermarket, right? And you don't have to use it every time, right? Maybe for your annual primary care appointment, you won't use it because you booked that a year in advance. But it's the idea that, like, if, I go out and I trip and I need to see an orthopedic, like I need a way to access the system simpler. So we just want to be there as
Hmm.
a safety net for patients.
Yeah. Yeah. The cash lane at the supermarket is like, okay, the cat on the notice says for all debts legal, this is legal tender for all debts, right? And then
Yeah,
we don't take cash here.
yeah,
That's a whole nother thing to get into. I
yeah.
lead a class called Turn Your Complaints to Dollars.
Oh, cool.
And it talks about like exactly what you're doing. And entrepreneurs who are really changing the world, like they will find a complaint that society has gone numb to,
Hmm.
has accepted it as that's just the way of life, and they'll address that complaint and make millions off of it.
Sure.
And the more the more subtle the complaint, the grander, the bigger the return is in money.
Sure.
So you're doing that system. Awesome.
Right.
And you said you're an entrepreneurial. I mean, you look like you're probably mid 30s, maybe.
Yeah, right on the money.
So how long have you had this entrepreneurial spirit?
I mean, a while. I mean, I went to business school. I actually took my major in school was leadership. And my parents were like, "What are you going to do with the leadership major?" And I was like, "I'm going to go out and I'm going to
I'm
create
gonna
a
lead
company.
something.
I'm going to launch a company. I don't know what it is yet, but that's my plan."
Wow. And so did you do like little businesses when you were growing up too, or?
Yeah, no, I always had, the lemonade stand, the babysitting businesses, all those kinds of things, right? I loved, creating business cards, right? And making flyers and selling things, I used to do like little garage, host my own little garage sale, my in our driveway. So I'd have things that I'm like, I don't need this anymore. So, I'd sell them to
That's
to
awesome.
friends. And yeah, I loved like creating,
Yeah. And
the
your
service and
parents were
everything.
supportive of that.
Yeah, my parents are like, she's going to do what she wants to do, so we're just going to let her.
Awesome. So when you had your babysitting company or your babysitting service, did you have other babysitters who worked for you?
Not one who I wouldn't say she worked for me, but that was my first lesson in partnership. Actually, my best friend Hannah, who was also my neighbor, we partnered together, and we each had our own set of clients, and we would partner together and do that together. So that was my first lesson in how to make a strategic partnership.
At what age?
We were probably about 12.
That's cool.
Yeah.
This is fun. So you said, whoops, you said you were in, um, how many states were you said, I think you said you had 5,500 doctors. Is that correct?
We have about 5,000 doctors and we're in all 50 states.
Okay. And how do people work with you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, we're a two-sided marketplace. So, on one side, we build the physician network, right? So doctors list their availability on our platform. And it's free for them to join. We make our money on a transaction fee, and then we go out and we need to find the patients, right? And as a founder, that's always been difficult. It's kind of the chicken or the egg, right? What do you do first?
Mhm.
And we had to grow both those markets at the same time. So, we have some lots of consumers access us through a direct to consumer model, right? So anyone can go on our platform today and book an appointment, and that's how we see a lot of patients, but it's hard. It's really, when you're in all 50 states and you have these 5,000 doctors, to really drive down that cost per acquisition for each patient was really difficult for us. So we went out and we formed partnerships, and we would do a lot of work in the employer space. So in high density areas of doctors, we go out to employers and we say, hey, it's really costly. You have a self funded employment plan. It's really costly, right, for your workforce to access care. So why don't you incentivize them to use Uberdoc? So that's one way we get patients. And then
How did you incentivize them? What was your incentive to the employer?
Yep. So the incentive there is that it's just so costly, especially for self-funded plans, for them to pay for healthcare costs, right? So they're incentivized to tell their workforce about UberDoc because in a lot of instances, the workforce is paying for their own appointment, right? So they're paying for their appointment. It drives down utilization for the employer. And also, sometimes we do have employers who actually pay, they'll be like, hey, we'll fund, your UberDoc visit. But for the employer, it's usually much more cost effective to pay through UberDoc versus the traditional insurance model because you know what the price is going to be. And it's capped, right? The price is always going to be, $200 or whatever the doctor sets.
Uh-huh.
So they know
And
what that
is
goes
that
to.
your average, the average doctor's cost? I mean, is it
Yeah,
scheduled? So
yep,
200,
doctor.
go ahead.
Right. Doctors set their own price. Average is about $200 to $250.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. And y'all are making, and y'all get a transaction fee off of that. So they're actually getting paid less than that, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we make a transaction fee. But doctors are don't balk at the transaction fee because they didn't have to put in, there's no administrative cost for them, right? Their front end didn't have to call the patient to confirm or schedule or anything. And there's no billing afterwards for them. They get paid directly. So
Right.
they're happy to not get that, they're
Yeah.
happy with the transaction
And
fee. Yeah.
they're benefiting because this person is coming into them. If they require an extra procedure, they're going to make money on top of that. So this
Absolutely.
is like you're doing like an introductory service to the doctor and a patient.
Yep, absolutely. We're kind of like the marketing for them, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
getting
yeah,
access to
yeah.
patients that they wouldn't have. And then we bill and collect it and we schedule.
Gotcha. Huh. Awesome business model. I like it. Is
Thank
are you
you.
having Do you have any competitors out there?
There's lots of other digital healthcare platforms that exist out there. I think what sets Uberdoc apart is our specialty network. It's super large, it's really diverse, and all of our physicians are hand credentialed. They're all board certified and in active practice as well. There's lots of other models out there, and they're usually a lot more. Like focus, like there's lots of behavioral health platforms out there, or women's health, whereas with us we're super broad, right? Like I said, we have over 55 specialties, and all of our doctors are MDs and DOs. So with our platform, you always know you're going to get a really high qualified specialist.
Awesome. How's your selection process with the doctors?
Yep. So doctors sign up, and then we have a customer success team that vets their board certification as well as all their licenses. So every single doctor is hand credentialed by us.
Hmm. 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 Interesting. I'm just curious. I'm kind of okay. So, what's her percentage? How she's doing it? What's her overhead cost? Da, 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 I'm running my own business plan on you. And where are you taking outside money to grow, or you taking investors, or how are you doing this?
Yep. So we've been around since about 2016 or so, and we have taken external funding. So we've raised about $5 million to date, so far, which we're super proud of. We're a female founded company, and there's lots of discrepancies when it comes to fundraising. So we have taken some external funding. A lot of our investors though are actually healthcare providers. So a lot of our doctor customers actually invested in our platform because they're just super dedicated to our mission and vision.
Wow, that's awesome. When your clients also invested with you, that's really cool. Really,
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, no, we're really proud of that.
So, did you go out to VCs as well?
We have done that. We've done mostly, yeah, physician angels. We do have some smaller VC and family funds who have invested as well.
Hmm. Or when are you going to go profitable?
We're planning to be profitable in the next 12 months or so. We recently have signed on some pretty large contracts. We're doing some military entrance exams as well as exams for veterans and administration exams as well. And we're super proud of that because, not only do we want, everybody, anybody on the street to have access to healthcare, but like we also are really proud to be able to do, serve our vets as well as those who are serving our country.
So, do you work just with medical doctors? Do you also work with like people who work with like PTSD and that type of things as well?
Yep. So behavioral health is one of our largest specialties. Actually, about 25% of our appointments that happen every year is for behavioral health services. So we have lots of folks who specialize, in PTSD and other things as well. But really, where we sit is anybody who's, like an MD or a DO. Those are the ones who participate in
Okay.
UberDoc.
So you are really broad. Awesome. Um, so how do people get in touch with you, Brianna?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, people can always reach out to me directly at my email, Brianna at uber-docs.com. And you can find me directly on LinkedIn as well.
And to schedule an appointment with what's your process for somebody goes, man, I got something up. I need to talk to a specialist as quickly as I can. What's that process?
Yep, so you can visit our website at uber-docs.com and schedule an appointment there.
Okay. And that's Uber hyphen.
Yep, hyphen docs, docs.com.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, Brianna, this is really, really cool. It's like, man, it's like trying to get into a club. Can't get in. Here's a couple. Hey, here's a couple $100. Get me in. Yeah, no problems. You're in. You're in.
Yes,
Great.
you're always on the list.
You're always on the list. You're always on the list. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. I do have one final question
Yeah.
for you. And my final question I ask everybody is, what do you love about life?
I love this question. Probably Oh my gosh, there's so many things I don't even know. I don't know. I'm a single mom to a 13-year-old girl, and that's the best thing about life right now. We're going through the teenage years, and but she's really finding herself, and being a parent, I think just being able to watch your kid kind of go navigate the different stages of
Mm.
life is really awesome and really rewarding.
So is she babysitting kids as well?
She's not, no. I tell her all the time, I'm like, wow, I was doing a lot more at your age than what you're doing now. But so but hopefully we'll get her into babysitting soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I love what you're doing. Your personality is great,
I
and
appreciate that.
you're welcome. And continued success to you. Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
You're,
having me.
you're welcome.